and Visual Podcast, a weekly discussion about all things guitar building and some random tangents as well, featuring members of the Guitar Builders Collective from all around the world. The Guitar Builders Collective is a like-minded group of individuals that have come together to share their experiences, knowledge, and inspiration for guitar building. Each week you can join us in the live YouTube chat or catch up at a later point. It's also available as audio where you'll miss out on seeing our lovely faces and some of the visuals we share along the way. You can also find the Guitar Builders Collective via our forum, over on Instagram where we share images of members' builds. We've got a thriving Facebook group, and we do hope that no matter what your experience and knowledge is, you'll become a welcome member of this community too. Great. Hello, people. Fantastic.
Good evening.
Yo.
Hola.
So, as always, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see our faces, but if you're listening on the audio, you won't know who's here. So I'll do a quick introduction and a little trailer ahead as to what I think we might talk about, and then we'll just see what happens. But yeah, we've got Ray here from Custom Unlimited Guitars and Tasmaniak Guitars. Which name?
New name, forgot to tell you.
Is Tasmaniak the new one?
Yes.
Right, Tasmaniak. Fantastic. It's one of those ones, when I saw it written down, I wasn't sure, as often happens when I see internet handles, I'm not sure how to pronounce it because I haven't quite worked out where the spaces go. So I wasn't sure to start with. But then we've got Arran from Adair Guitars. Both of you are in Australia.
There we go. Yep.
Oh, yeah. I think there's a bit of a delay somewhere. And then joining us also from the UK, like me, we've got Bobby Jarvis Jr. Hey, Bobby.
Hello. Also on Instagram handles, because we were just chatting a second ago, you can call me Jarvis rather than Bobby. It would be,
Jarvis.
Would be less weird for me, but you can call me Bobby if you want.
Oh.
But whatever, it's fine. But, you know.
As someone who's called Daniel, but everyone calls him Dan, and I only ever introduce myself as Daniel, I'm used to people calling me the wrong thing. But
at this point, it's like it's 50-50. Jarvis isn't even my real name, so I'm not even. Don't even worry about that. But that's fine. Ooh, mystery.
Yeah, is this a name that came about for performing, or is it just to hide yourself on social media?
Oh, Jarvis was a nickname from school. My real name's John, which is pretty vanilla, right? And then I was always like, oh, I want a nickname, and then someone called me Jarvis one day, and it like stuck like a bad smell, and I just kind of rolled with it, and I was like, you know what, I kind of prefer it to John. And then yeah, Bobby Jarvis Jr. was like a stage name, and then it was like hide myself an Instagram name, and now it's like, yeah, you know, I can't really hide on Instagram anymore, right?
Exactly. Well, Jarvis. Oh, and yeah, and just so everyone knows who's either watching or listening, I've got links to Jarvis's Instagram, YouTube, and your website, which we'll talk about later in the description. Same for the rest of us.
Awesome.
But yeah, we're just saying off air, I've not actually met Jarvis before, but he was at the Brighton Guitar Show that I was at a few months ago, and I saw him posting afterwards, and it coincided with the time that we were all talking about how good it would be to get on some non-builders to talk about, you know, the practicalities of playing guitar and how the design affects it, and also just what it's like having a badly designed or well-designed guitar, what people need. Everyone needs different things, and as we can see, lots of us have lots of guitars that probably
Did you ask us on here so we could learn a lesson? Is that what's going on here? Is this an intervention?
I 100% want to talk about what it must be like learning guitar now in this world where Jarvis teaches online, and I've just dug out my old tab books from This Is How I Learned from tab.
Oh
not always correctly written. This is how my dad learned.
Me too.
This one's from the 30s. I don't know when that's from. I don't know how old my dad is. Yeah, so we'll definitely talk about that. We'll talk about guitar design and maybe just what it's like being stuff. But Jarvis, so what is your background then in guitar? How did guitar come into your life?
I mean, you know, I'm of a certain age, like 40 or whatever, so kind of born in the early 80s, so it's kind of standard. When I was growing up, it was all, you know, it was like early 90s, right? It was grunge and it was Britpop. Ugh. Wait, maybe you guys like Oasis, this whole Oasis reunion. Maybe probably shouldn't talk too much about that. But, you know, it was good music, right? There's lots of, it was real music. So, you know, like, yeah. I mean, I liked Oasis when I was a kid, but now I'm like, I'm an adult. Do you know what I mean? It's like I've grown up. I don't like Oasis anymore, but you know, there was great music around. So at the time, it was like, you know, just the kind of rites of passage, right? If you're into music and you were 11, and you know, all your mates play guitar and stuff, and it was just like that was kind of the thing, really. And so basically got into grunge and rock and all that stuff, and then went to ACM. Don't know if do you know ACM? The music. Do you know? You probably know BIM, Brighton.
Yeah.
ACM was like pre-BIM, just like a music academy in Guildford, basically. So went to that, and then did the whole music college thing, and then started teaching. You know, and then just the kind of standard trajectory of, you know, being into guitar and liking good music in the early 90s, and then just followed that all the way through, pretty much, to be honest with you.
So as well as teaching, also perform.
Yeah, I play as well, and less so these days, just because I've got like kids, and now the teaching's going really well. So it's like I don't need to sort of put as much time into doing gigs, because you know, it's hard work being a gigging musician, and you know, if you've got young kids, it's like, and someone's got to give. Do you know what I mean? And like coming back in the early hours of the morning is not necessarily the best thing. So, but yeah, historically, I play in like a swing band in Brighton. Still do play with them, but just less often. And then I play in like a 11-piece Afro world funk band as well. So quite polar opposites. And then like in bands, I've played more in like funk and soul kind of bands. Not like I kind of left that rock thing behind really, and played in like sort of a couple of like Afro bands and like reggae bands and swing bands and stuff. So like a fairly, I studied flamenco for quite a few years as well with a guy in Brighton. So that was a big like detour. So quite varied in my, you can probably see that.
I don't think I realised you were Brighton based.
Yeah, that's where. Well, now I'm in Hastings. You know, I got priced out, but yeah, I was in Brighton for a long time, but
yeah. So I lived just down the road to where the show was.
Oh right,
I didn't know. Woodingdean.
Oh no way, I didn't know you were in Woodingdean.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. I could have come over.
Yeah, that's funny. We've done an actual live one.
Yeah. Well, next time we'll do a live one.
That'd be fun. Yeah. So look, when I came across you via the show and looking at your Instagram page in particular, the way that lessons are taught on it, I mean, I don't look like a lot of guitar builders. I build and don't play that much anymore. But the way you teach online seems very different to what I'd seen other teachers. So there's a lot of you talking, but also you can see your hands from a playing angle, and I found that so interesting.
Yeah, the player's angle thing is like, that's kind of my thing these days as well. Like I've seen a couple of people doing it as well. It's like, it's more how you see it, right? As a player. So I think it's good. It's sort of, as a visual thing, it's good to set you apart on socials.
I'll just share that on this.
Yeah, go on one of the top ones will work, not those recent ones. Yeah, stop playing fucking box or Dave Gilmore Easy Hack. Any of those will work. Here we go.
So how did you transition into doing, because you said you were teaching when you finished college studying. Yeah. How did you get into doing it online like this?
Oh, online. I mean, this COVID kind of kickstarted this. I was in schools, you know, post college, you know, so I graduated from university in 2003 or 2004 or something. And then, you know, it's been, you know, it's like 15 plus years of just teaching in schools, you know, peripatetically. Or is my mic a little hot, or is it?
It is slightly, but
turn it down. It's all right. Let me turn it down. Is that better?
I think so. Yes. I can't tell you to talk a bit more, but yeah.
Okay. Tell me if it's too hot. So yeah, 2003, and then I just started. You know, I don't know if you know what a peripatetic teacher. Basically, a peripatetic teacher is someone who goes into schools and is employed by the music council. So normally there'll be a music service or like a council-led organisation who will organise the music lessons in schools, and then you get in with that little music service, and then they supply these peripatetic teachers. And I kind of knew that was the system, so I got in with the music service and just did that for years. And then I kind of got into private schools, which pay a bit better, all the posh prep schools and stuff. But actually teaching younger kids, so I kind of took the money and taught the younger kids, and then and then COVID forced us online, and then like my socials took off at the same time because I was putting a lot of time into my socials, and then it was like some kind of little timing was just perfect for me, basically. Like the like for most people COVID was awful. For me, it was life-changing. It was just like suddenly I went from teaching schools, like the next year I quit and I was just all online, and now I just teach people from Instagram.
Jarvis, is it always guitar or other instruments as well that you were teaching in schools?
Oh, mainly, ukulele, but but that doesn't count, right?
Yeah.
There's always sort of funny joke with some other teacher was like, grade 8 ukulele, you get to fucking smash the thing up.
I've got to say one thing that I like, because I used to work in schools a lot, but not teaching music, is there was a massive change about, I won't say 10 years ago now, where I saw more schools having ukuleles and less recorders.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought that was a great thing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Thank God for that.
Although I did find a guy on TikTok the other day, Philip, you have to check. I think it's called Philippe Flutes. Like Philippe is in like Spanish spelling, Felipe. And he's just like, he's busting out Hotel California, Sweet Home Alabama on the recorder. It's incredible. It's mind-blowing.
Oh, I think I saw you maybe retweet him, because there's someone else I've been following who plays classical music in the front of his car, and there's a guy in the back who plays keyboards.
Oh my God.
It's brilliant.
This guy is mind-blowing.
I'm not dissing recorders. Yeah. So it's interesting because Brad just joined us. Hey, Brad.
There you go.
Great, you can make it.
There you go.
Completely. I looked away for a second.
We often end up talking about the fact that a lot of the people we have on, COVID was a big change for them because they were watching guitar building online, and that guitar building community led to them building more and having more confidence to build. But of course, I hadn't really considered until you just mentioned it, the guitar playing. That must have changed so much.
It was also, don't forget, like everyone was at home learning guitar.
Yeah.
Like everyone's like, I'm going to learn guitar, and it's just like, oh, okay, this is kind of cool, and everyone's got all their like COVID payments, and they're all spunking it on fucking guitars, like Fender, like, and the mega sales that year, right? And it's just like everyone, the amount of people still that I teach, and I'll be like, Helen, they're like, oh yeah, I started as a kid, and I put it down, and then I picked it up again in COVID, and then I've been just like it's textbook. It's literally 90% of the people I speak to will say that same story. I picked it up as a kid, played a bit, put it down, and then COVID happened, and I picked it up again. And you're like, everyone. It's funny, really.
I wonder how many other types of professions were radically affected by COVID in such a positive way, of people taking things up. We've got the building, we've got the playing. What was that? Sorry, Ray?
Mine was the additive manufacturing industry. 3D printing went through the roof.
Ah, why would that be? Was that because it was more remote?
Well, everybody's sitting at home twiddling their thumbs, and they figured they had, like two left hands that couldn't play guitar, so they bought a 3D printer.
Fair enough.
And it just kind of went off from there. And the funny thing is if you actually have a look at all the major players that are on the stock market from sell 3D printers, their share prices just literally skyrocketed. We're talking they shot up anywhere between 500 to 1,000% in the probably second or third quarter of 2020, and then they've all just over the last 2-3 years they've all just plummeted back down. because the boom has gone. But yeah, it's crazy to look at. You know, some companies entered the market at like $10 to $15 a share. 2020 came along, they were sitting at anywhere from $150 to $300 a share, and now they're under $5.
Oh,
but yeah,
I guess
the human malware virus really took a toll on it.
It's hard to know in COVID what the outcome, how the world would continue. Like I always thought, I'll just wear a mask when I'm out. Might as well. I found a pile of them the other day, and I have a distant memory of ever wearing. I don't know. Hey, so Jarvis mentioned that he was teaching through a music school or music service, and that's how I learned when I was at school. I think it started at primary school.
Yeah.
The local music service. I was in a London borough. Came in. They taught different instruments. I desperately wanted to play saxophone, but they ran out of space on the saxophone, so I ended up playing guitar, and that sort of changed me. But and that carried on through secondary school. And at secondary school level, they then had different bands. So I played in ensembles of guitars, but you had people that played instruments that were now in orchestras. Is there anything like that in Australia?
No, ours is completely different. So you know, in the public schools, which is where I teach, the schools basically employ the instrumental music teachers themselves. So you've got classroom teachers who teach music as a class for, 20, 25 students or whatever, right through to whatever year level it'll go up to. But if kids want to learn an instrument themselves, most schools, well, in Victoria anyway, just as part of their staffing budget, they will elect to employ however many instrumental music teachers. And then they're the teachers that teach the kids, one-on-one or in small groups for a particular instrument. And then we have different school bands, which could be made up of kids doing instrumental music or kids in classroom bands or those kind of things. So it's kind of, where we are, we're in Victoria anyway, it's kind of up to the individual school to basically to budget and design the program that they want. But having said that, all secondary schools have music programs. It's not like, it's too expensive or we're not going to put the money into that. Because for a lot of schools where it's competitive getting students, having a strong music program is a good draw card for the school.
And Arran, would you say that as a general rule of thumb that with the music teachers here in Australia that they are either the coolest teacher in the school or they are the weirdest teacher in the school? Is that a pretty fair assumption?
Yeah, both. Yeah, probably. Yeah. They're I've obviously playing guitar as well. I'm not a music or woodwork teacher, but I've played in the school bands with staff and kids before, and in performances and big stages and little stages. And I love it, getting involved with it. But it's bit of both, but it's really cool. I actually love seeing the music teachers when they're playing their own thing and cutting loose, outside of school to see what they can do, because they've got some serious skills.
It's like you just sort of look at it and go, Mr. Jones, I didn't know you had that in you.
Yeah, I mean, our school we don't really have like brass and woodwind. It's really guitar and drums, keyboards and vocals. So they're probably the main the main instruments that we do. So the real band, the stuff that lends itself to modern sort of rock bands and that kind of thing. We don't sort of have orchestras or concert bands or that kind of stuff, whereas other schools, in the Geelong area, that's what they sort of focus on.
I wonder if having the music service is what made it more traditional. It had been around for a long.
Sorry, say that again. You cut out a little bit.
I wonder if where I was, we had a music service that came into the schools, and because it had been there for a long time, I wonder if that's what made the instruments they taught more traditional in the way they taught. So, for example, I learned Spanish guitar.
Yeah.
But onto the question I was going to ask you next, Jarvis, which is my guitar teacher bought me my first electric guitar, picked it for me. It was a Squire Strat. But I just wondered if you're ever involved with recommending guitars for your students.
Yeah, it's a fun, like my brother, who's also a guitar teacher, my older brother, he also I should sort of shout out him for being part of the trajectory, really, because I actually wanted to have a drum set when I was a kid. But my older brother, who's 4 years older, already had a guitar and was having guitar lessons. My parents in retrospect, obviously thought, fuck that, right? Get him a big noisy drum set. No way. We'll just get another guitar, right? That'll be easy. So so that didn't happen. But he's, you know, so he also teaches guitar. He's kind of teaches in the private school kind of ecosystem. He's well in with all the, like, the, you know, the sort of, you know, high achieving schools, and like in sort of Surrey area and stuff, basically. But he'll basically like rent the guitars out to them, you know, because it's a good little system for him. So he'll just have guitars, and he basically just rents them to the parents because, you know, it's easier for them. They just want to get their kids in, right? So he has a nice little system going there where he'll get the guitars and rent them out. But I basically got so sick of the parents coming in with gear for music. Fuck me, those things are the worst. They're just like the worst things I've ever seen. You guys in Australia probably don't have had, you know, never seen a gear for music guitar, but they're just so bad. And I got so sick of them that I ended up just recommending. I can't remember what I think I was just recommending Pacificas to them or something. I was just like, look, just stop. You know, also because these, you know, like, they've got money. Do you know what I mean? Especially in the private schools. If it was like state schools and money's tight, I'd be like, you know, look, just like, yeah, you know, maybe just like borrow one, or like, you know, do something. Just check they really want to do it first, and like get something that's just will do. But, you know, if you're going to go and spend 80 quid on a piece of literal crap, you know, then spend 120 and get something that you could actually have for the rest of your life, you know.
Yeah,
this is actually something that I've been really hot on with people, especially when I used to work in a music store, you know, and I'd have parents come in wanting to buy, you know, their kid their first guitar, and it's just like, what's the cheapest you got? Just like, that's the wrong attitude.
Yeah.
That is absolutely the wrong attitude, and that is not going to get your kid anywhere. You know, at the time I'd been playing for about 8 years, I think. And if I picked up one of those cheapest instruments, I could barely get a decent riff out of it. So how the hell is a beginner who doesn't even know how to hold a guitar going to get anywhere out of it, get any enjoyment out of it, learn on it, or even want to learn on it? You know, when the string height at the nut is almost 3 millimeters.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Like,
yeah,
and it's you can't tune it. You literally can't even tune it.
Well, you can, but then everything you play is sharp.
I'm slightly disappointed because I've bought a gear for music guitar before to just rip up. Because a lot of what I did when I first was learning to customize and build guitars, buy cheap guitars, take them apart, and then work out how to fit them back together and make them better. But yeah, because some cheaper brands aren't terrible. They're obviously not as good, but like you said, even 120 Jarvis gets you such a good instrument now.
Yeah, I mean, how much is a Pacifica? A 112? I'll Google it.
Look. So I remember I got this Squire, and one of my friends got a Pacifica at the time, and his Pacifica was terrible.
Oh shit, I'm way out of. Are they 250 quid now? Fuck me.
That was a long time ago. I think a lot of the base standard of cheaper guitars has gone up so much, which is why it's disappointing to hear.
Okay, I am a bit off of the. Oh no, you can get one for 180, a Pacifica. So yeah, okay, not 120. I take that back. I think back then when I was recommending them, the gear for music ones were like, you know, 70, 80 or something, and the Pacificas were like 120.
But does that imply that you're thinking that Strat model, the S model, fine for people?
Oh, I mean, just, you know, I think a Strat's a good option for a, you know, I wouldn't recommend a Gibson style personally. I don't think.
I know that I myself, you know, but then when somebody asks me what should they get for, you know, their little one to learn, my first thing is Squire Strat Pack. Yeah, that's it. That they are going to be rocking on that thing for years to come, and because it's, you know, it comes. Has it got a good setup on it? No, of course not. But it can be played, and that's the thing. That's it, you know, any one of us can pick it up and instantly be able to play on it. And the things, they're cheap. You know, I think from memory here in Australia, they're, with the amplifier and a gig bag, I think they're about 350, pushing 400, which is cheap here in Australia. And the beauty of it is like, Daniel, you're saying you've still got your Squire.
Yeah, I mean, my Squire has been modded so much, being modded again at the moment. It's like, because it was my first guitar, I don't want to get rid of it. But every time I've got an idea for something, a new paint job I want to do, or new component I want to put in, it goes in that one.
Yeah. So that's my point. Is that these guitars, yes, they're cheap piles of junk, but they work, and they're actually got a reasonable setup. Pacificas are the exact same. There is nothing wrong with them. They're just not I mean, I can't even say that they're not well made, because they are well made. They're just not using high quality components, I guess you could say. But I mean, the reality, in 3 years' time, you can still be playing this thing. And what are you going to upgrade? You're going to upgrade the amp. You're not going to upgrade the guitar before the amp in those packs. So
I guess those Gear for Music that Jarvis was talking about are, you know, not just budget, but it's a company that businesses an online shop. It's not guitars, so they don't have to worry maybe as much about the quality of the name, because people go in there for their first thing. Now, that doesn't make sense now I've said that, because still rely on something to get people back.
I think they're just such a big company here, and you like, if you just, you know, they dominate the budget instrument market, right? So they can just put out what the fuck they want. I was just looking on their website now. I can't actually see any Gear for Music Strats like that, unless they've rebranded them as this LA electric guitar. Oh, I think it is. It's rebrand. They're 90 quid now, then, if that's what it is.
Okay. They've rebranded.
Oh, wow.
They've rebranded LA electric guitar by Gear for Music. I think they just changed the sticker on the headstock, and they're 90 quid here. And then the next up, you're looking at a Squire for 150. And then Pacificas, we've got those Jet guitars as well, other stuff, and then Epiphones, Pacificas, yeah.
So what about yourself when you're playing in those different types of bands and different types of music, like the swing band, etc.?
Yeah.
Are you looking for an instrument that fits the look on stage, or is it also?
Yeah, I mean, well, the sound predominantly, you know, the swing band, you know, I mean, it's got to be a jazz box, right? Although I did buy. There's like a 330 there, a Peerless 330 that I bought, thinking I might be able to get a jazz sound, a proper, like a proper jazz sound out of. But it's not really got just doesn't have enough air in it, you know, or something, or whatever it, you know, doesn't quite have the juju. So yeah, I need I need something to give that more trad sound. I mean, I don't even use I don't play with flat wounds either, which is, you know, naughty. Do you know what I mean? You should be using flat wounds, but you know, I use it that. So I've got an Epiphone Joe Pass is what I use for the jazz band, which I bought many moons ago, and that's great. And then I've put it's just an Iron Gear, an Iron Gear P90, humbucker sized P90 in the neck. Anyone who doesn't know, Iron Gear is a UK based company, has stuff made in China to their specs, I believe is the crack there, right? So Chinese manufactured to UK specs, so they're like affordable, decent quality pickups. So I put one of those in the neck, and then, you know, lock and shit, sort it out, put some decent hardware in it, because Epiphone hardware is junk. So it's all got CTS pots and all that shit, and lock-in tuners, decent pickup, you know, so it's like it's gig ready. Do you know what I mean? And then so I need that for that band. And then if I'm doing the funk stuff, whatever, like I'll play the Reverend, or like I'll play the Parker. I've got a Nightfly. Use this for the
Nice.
this neck Best neck ever. Those frets. I don't know if you guys have played a Parker frets.
Mark Gutierrez,
No, not
who's
me.
on quite regularly, he used to collect Parker guitars.
Oh man, I almost bought one. There was one in for sale in Brighton, and I was like, it was like $2,500. I do not have $2,500. I was just like, I drove there and I was going to go and play it, and they were like, we sold it, and I was like, you've done me a fucking favor, thank you. Drove home. I was like, oh my god, thank god you've sold it. But yeah, the frets, that's a night fly, so I think the frets are actually slightly bigger on that. The neck carve's chunkier, I think, than a normal fly. I've never actually played a normal fly, but the frets on those, because they were the first ones to have stainless steels, right? And that was like 90. Well, they came out in 91, I think, the first model. They're like.
Sure, Mark said they glue them on.
Yeah, they're glued on. They're heavy. They're a hemi, half a circle, and they're just glued on. So they fall off. That's like their one very known trait. So if you go buy them secondhand, you need to watch out that there's no loose frets, or that no one's just fucking literally just super glued it back on, right, and sold it to you. And also all the guts are like, it's all like ribbon wires and stuff, right? It's all crazy wiring in there. But the frets are amazing. The problem is it's kind of ruined every other guitar for me. Like I can't play, like I pick up any top end guitar, saw all of those, I pick them up and it's like the frets feel scratchy. Every guitar, like doesn't matter how good the guitar is, I pick it up and it's like these frets feel shit. And I go home and I play that, and it's 25 years old. I've played it. It's got like thousands and thousands and thousands of hours on it, and it's like fucking playing glass.
And you putting that down to the fact that they're stainless steel, or partly?
They're rock hard. There's zero fretwear on them. I mean, there's nothing. I don't know if you can see on this camera's not good enough. There's just nothing. There's no fretwear. There's nothing on it. And I've played the shit out of it. It's like there just doesn't go. It's amazing.
It definitely does seem to be a bit of a drive towards stainless steel.
I'm all in. Have been forever. As soon as I played that, I was like, nickel or whatever they make. I was just like, why would you bother? It's like it's fucking soft.
I haven't built any guitars with stainless steel frets. I've always kind of avoided it just because I hear about how much work it is to shape and crown and polish. But yeah. I might have to be tempted now to give it a go, at least on one, just to see for myself. Yeah,
I don't know if you can, I've never played stainless. I've got other guitars with stainless, like that Warmoth's got stainless, and I've had other ones with the Evo gold frets and stuff.
Yep.
But nothing, I've just never picked up a guitar. They always pale in comparison to a 25-year-old guitar that I've got. I come out and it's like, this guitar feels amazing, and it doesn't matter how good the fretwork is, and it's just like it always feels scratchy. It's just like, well, I think from a player's point of view, it's like, for me anyway, especially as a professional in very loose inverted commas, it's just like, why? Of course I'd just want a harder wearing material for my frets, right?
It's one less thing to worry about, I suppose, isn't it? For maintenance and ongoing day-to-day stuff.
And also, I think a lot of them, they sound bright. I mean, come on. Bullshit.
Don't get us started.
I mean, maybe we can have a little argument about it if someone maybe someone here thinks they're bright. I mean, they're not. As far as I'm aware, they're not. But
Well, Ben just asked in the chat. Never thought of this. If they're that hard, do they wear the strings out quicker?
Yeah, in theory, I guess they must do. Yeah, probably. I'm terrible for changing my strings, so I can't really,
So I'm actually trying to get someone on that makes strings about because that's something we never really talk about in detail. Choice people make with strings. Because actually, I've noticed recently we've got more and more into the details of certain components and things. Not that. With the frets, and that's really interesting because there's certain things that when people come to you asking to build a guitar, they say, I want this, I want that, I want that. And it's because they've read about things online.
Yeah.
And stainless steel is definitely one of them. But it's good to hear that definitely someone that plays a lot really notice that then.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is for me also, like, I don't, with the bright frets, it's just like, it's just, if you play it unplugged, there's no fret. And then you fret the note, does it sound brighter with stainless steel? No. So how can the frets be bright? It's just rubbish. I mean, the frets do not make your guitar sound brighter. It's just, and if they do, it's like they just turn the fucking treble down.
Exactly.
Like EQ it, adjust accordingly. If you think your guitar's that bright, then like turn the EQ your amp. Like all these things that people talk about on with guitar tone, it's like, or pale in comparison to just doing that on an amplifier.
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely talked about that so much that there's so much on the guitar, but there's just a signal that comes out, and that signal that comes out is what you manipulate the most. And as long as you've got a strong signal out, you're going to manipulate it. And those variations you can make when you're playing or when you're building it are going to make such little difference. But
I think a lot of it comes down to, like we said in that one thing where we talked about tone plastic. It was a case of, does it affect things? Yeah, maybe. Does it matter? No.
Have you seen the post on YouTube with the guy who does the he gets the guitar and he Dan's nodding, he's seen it. We've all seen it, right? And he basically
does it across the table.
Yeah, so they've got two benches, right, and a pickup mounted like to nothing. And it sounds exactly the same. If it's like, it's just, yeah, guitar players are like.
I did see a couple of great comments about that one that were discussing the resonance, the potential resonance of the tables that they were mounted to. I was just like, you're stretching here. Just go back to your buddy, Mr. Paul Reed Smith, and try another angle.
Yeah, we mentioned off air, Jarvis, that the guitar players are still stuck in their designs from that have been around 70 years or more.
Yeah,
and that's what they like, and that's what they're after.
Yeah, I mean, we're like totally, we're massive Luddites, aren't we? Everything about the guitar community is like, wanting to recreate, like, they just 90% of guitar players just want a fucking. And they buy a new guitar. They want it to be like a Strat that looks like it was made in 1954, and plug it into a fuzz pedal with a component that they think was popular in 1964, and plug it into a tube amp that's designed was from 1964. Do you know what I mean? It's just they want to play like some nitrocellulose finished Strat that looks like it was old, plugged into a fuzz pedal with an NKT275 transistor going into a Fender tube amp. And it's just like, where's the progression? You could have bought all that stuff 70 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Like,
we had Joe from Hello Sailor on the other day. So Hello Sailor Effects. I know you know them, but he was saying brilliant. Let's make you bigger there. Oh, is that one of his? Oh,
yeah,
no.
That's his Filmer Sound. It's a Filmer Sound conversion. Don't ask me what one it is. I can't remember the actual. A 1948 Filmer Sounds. In a Noisy Hammer did the case, but it's a bit dusty. It's an old. Oh, sorry, get right. They're old cinema projector amps.
Amazing.
So back in the 40s, they'd for the PAs, they'd be like, I think they'd use they'd have cinema projectors, and then they'd do they'd sort of have a tannoy with it or something, right? Yeah. And an ounce over it back in the 40s. And so basically there's a whole little community of guys, and they find these Filmer Sound amps and they convert them into guitar amps. So I get the odd comment that was like, another great amplifier lost to the guitar community or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, all the guitar players snapping it all up. But
no, I mean, seriously, what are they going to do with them? We can actually put them to use.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it sounds amazing. It's crazy amp though. It's got it's kind of, to be honest, it's like totally the wrong amp for me. it's got no headroom, right? It's just like fucking gain and loud, which is kind of like the opposite of what I do. But
so I used to have something similar that I used for a practice amp for years. It was an Australian made, actually made here in Melbourne during I think I dated it as far back as the late 40s. And it was either for cinemas or it was used on phonographs.
cool.
And it was the amplifier that used to, like an extension amplifier that you could use for those. And when you flip it around and looked at the back, it was quite simple. It had three valves, rectifier valve, preamp valve, and then the main output valve. And they were all microphonic as hell. And I used to, every now and again, when I ran a tube screamer into it, I know that was naughty, but I did it anyway. Used to be able to get the preamp glowing purple. I think that was a job well done.
but like
I used that amp, old 2.5 watts, for probably 10 years as a practice amp. Did some studio work with it. It was brilliant.
I totally get that playing some vintage things, or as Joe from Hello Sailor was saying, some of the changes he makes are essentially like for like capacitors values, but it's a vintage capacitor. If in your mind you know I've got this vintage capacitor, it might change your feeling about what you're using. Like most of what I do is changing the look of someone's guitar with a paint job. Same guitar, but suddenly maybe because it looked cool, we might play it differently.
I'm totally in on the NKT. I'd happily buy one. Just to be clear on that.
Yeah, good. But you're right. There's a lack of innovation, I think, with guitar design. I saw one of your posts recently talking about Godfrey guitars. And I'm trying to get him on. I love his work.
Yeah, Les is a fucking genius, right?
But what do you have any thoughts on boutique? What's happening in that world?
Oh, thoughts on what?
It just to me, it feels like boutique guitars are often, even when you take a boutique guitar builder who's building an old design like a T or a Strat, they're often making choices such as the wood choice. So when you're seeing the wood grain, it's so much nicer than something you get in a factory. And it feels like it's a shame that world feels a bit hidden away to me. Most guitar buyers. Yeah,
I guess it's guitar. The sort of boutique industry is a weird one. I think he's a good example of that. Doing his Natro guitars, right? Doing the like the Telecasters and stuff, right? Doing those high-end Telecasters, but they're just Fender style, but they're super high-end, and you got to like join a waiting list and stuff to get them, but it's just a blackguard. Compared to Les, who's just, it's like he's kind of like an artist, isn't he? I mean, you all are. Don't get me wrong, but like when I see his stuff, it's just like it's so. I don't know, just like it's amazing, right? It's like the level that he operates and just like in a like expressive, creative way is incredible. I just think guitars are so underpriced. You're going to like me here, as an instrument. When you look at like, they're so underpriced. I mean, even a boutique guitar for like $5,000, and that's that's an expensive one, and that's way underpriced.
Yeah.
If you put like. I mean, just top up the hours. I mean, how long does a guitar take to make? Like I know the acoustics take a lot longer. They take a couple hundred hours. So you like 200 hours. If you do that at a half decent hourly wage, and then you've got to put all your building costs on and your wood on top of that. It's like it's actually. If you did 200 hours at fucking 50 quid an hour, that's like 10 grand or something stupid, isn't it?
Yeah, I one of the.
But you know what I mean? It's like if I'm teaching, like I want to get paid for my time. I don't want to teach for fucking 20 quid an hour or something. Do you know what I mean? Like I want to get paid for my time. So it should be the same for you guys. If you're like making an instrument. You should get paid for your time. Yeah, and then you've got to factor in the cost of the lumber and stuff. And it's not as if it's just the design time. It's like, and the fucking equipment, and the rent and the overheads on the fucking building and everything else that comes with it. You know, it's like, and you're charging $3,000 for a guitar. It's like,
one of the show, or a few of the shows I've been at, there's a group called the Guitar Collective that sort of exhibit together. So they're a group of builders, they're all friends, including amp builders, and they, instead of having their individual stalls or tables, they hire an area out so they can lay it out so it's more comfortable, like you're going into a shop and you can play their guitars and sit down and stuff.
nice.
A lot of them told me that it's really hard to break selling a guitar for more than $2,500.
Yeah,
because despite the fact there's the competition from the sort of big companies and do the their guitars at $2,500, and it sort of makes it really hard to get it more expensive because go, oh well, I'll just buy a Gibson because then I'm getting the Gibson name for that. And I think that's really sad because, for example, we had Daniel from Fender Guitars on a while ago, and he was saying at shows people come up to him and say, why is your guitar more expensive battery brand? And he'll say, play it, and it's about foul. As soon as someone plays it, they're like, oh, I understand why it's better, why it's more expensive, because you can feel it's better.
It's interesting here you talk about the $2,500, Daniel, because you're obviously talking British pounds, so for us that's sort of double in Aussie dollars. So
I was going to say it's like $5,000.
Yeah, for us that's $4,500, and there's no way I think any of us Aussie builders would kind of expect to be. Well, we would obviously like to be doing that, but to price something at $4,500 Australian dollars is just way out of the the price range of what you would think, and that gets tricky.
There'd be no chance of selling something like that without a big name behind yourself. Like, even the established builders, even the established guitar builders, the boutique or people that are doing it, more than a hobby, they're not selling guitars for that much, and they're a lot of steps ahead of where we are.
I think
a lot of it, the problem actually comes down to the guitarists. After time, and I've got to include myself in that to an extent. I'm not a good guitarist, so I don't have to. Is that we tend to be show ponies. And a lot of it comes down to, like, it's just like, hey, man, just brought a new guitar. Oh, what is it? Just picked up a, American-made Strat. Cool, want to see it? Let's have a look. It's just another fucking Strat at the end of the day. But if you turn around and say, hey, I just picked up this, gorgeous custom handmade, BB guitar, who the fuck's that?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, as much as you're not going to want to hear this, brand is everything, isn't it?
So what was that, Jarvis?
Brand is everything, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, Ben's in the chat here. Ben mentioned this to me, that he'd been told by a few sellers and people that stock guitars in some shops that people looking for their first guitars, the cheaper guitars, that's still there, that audience. People buying the really expensive guitars, the people that could always afford the expensive guitars can still afford them, so that's still there. But that kind of mid-range, people that maybe want to upgrade or get a second or a third guitar, that's not there anymore so much, the sort of 1,000 to 2,000 range, because people can't necessarily justify just buying another guitar.
I think some of it also is a bit like, when you go to it's kind of like the guitar teacher thing where you still get like these dudes charging 20 quid an hour for guitar lessons. It's like, man, you've got to put your fucking prices up because you're fucking bringing the whole thing down. You know what I mean? So it's like, you've got this thing. So it's like people, the guitar luthiers, if you all just went, no, fuck you, it's $5,000 for a whole, and you can't get one unless it's $5,000, that's the price. The problem is you've got too many old fucking dudes who's scared. And they're like, I'm going to charge. And it's like, then nothing's going to happen. You'd be better off, probably all of you, just charging 3 times as much for your guitars and just selling one a 33% less of the time.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, because then people are going to look at your guitars and think, it's $7,000. It's probably worth it rather than trying to compete against a fucking like an American Pro Plus Strat or just some fucking piece of shit factory crap. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and I think kind of that's what I don't know. Like I can see Les like often seems to change. You know, he's a bit of a sort of
eccentric.
Eccentric, that's a great word. You know, but like I'll see him, he'll post, he's like, it's fucking $10,000 for a guitar, go fuck yourself. And I'm like, he needs to just stick with that. Like, he needs to say, like, look, they're 10, 15 grand. If you want them, come and get them. Otherwise, go fuck yourself. And it's as simple as that. And it should be the same for you guys. I know it's difficult saying that. You're like, well, I've got to feed my kids. And it's like, well, then it's tricky. But I need to do the same with like putting your prices up. It's like, you just have to accept that, you know, at some point you can't just charge 20 quid for lessons anymore.
No, I think you're absolutely right. It's a hard thing to do. I remember when I first started, I was selling my guitars for a lot more and hardly selling them. And then I brought the price down and I was selling more guitars, but making exactly the same amount of money. So I'm not sure if it was worth it. And then,
it's a trick, you know, it's a really tricky one. And I think this kind of market, the guitar market, is a tricky market for that. It's like we're saying it's stuck in the past. Everything's stuck in the past. The mentality, the people who have the money are like, is our demographic, right? 40 and up. We're the guys who've got the disposable cash.
Yeah.
Not the kids. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and we all want the boomer stuff. You know, it's like, who's going out and spending like buying Murphy Labs and stuff? It's like, these guys need to fucking shake them and like go and buy something good, you know?
Yeah, no, I think you're articulating what I was thinking, which is we need to get the people that want to buy guitars to know that there's better out there.
Well, I think like look at what Gibson are doing. They've kind of like, for me, I see them as like they've just decided that we can't compete with Fender. We're going to basically make ourselves some kind of like heritage luxury brand and just like make our money selling $10,000 Les Pauls because like we can't do anything good.
Yes.
Right?
Speaking of which, should I just quickly put up the new Victory, the Fender Victory? See what anyone thinks of that. Because I saw Jarvis mention this the other day. His disappointment with
the Gibson, but this is fuck.
I mean,
it's so look at the price, man. What the fuck?
What this reminded me of is when I've seen so that guitar competition that I mentioned before we started, Jarvis, when people building their own guitars and a lot of people building for the first time, a lot of people making their own versions of instruments and slight designs. And a lot of the time I'd look at it and you'd look at it and think that's wrong. There's something wrong there because it might look like the original that it's based on.
Yeah.
Not to say there's anything wrong with it. It just feels uncomfortable looking at something that's slightly wrong. And some of them really grow on you, but I'm not sure.
No, the like the top body horn's too long to the bottom one. It's just not right, is it? And the thingy as well, the thing that does me most in about that design is why has it got a stop tail and 24 frets?
It does,
right?
It doesn't feel like Gibson should make something like that. Really,
it's fucking gross. It looks even worse from the back. Jesus.
As far as I'm concerned, if it's got 24 frets, then 2 humbuckers is 1 humbucker too many. You just that neck pickup is just in. I've
spoken about this on my and people are like, oh my god, wow, you're really onto something. That's like if the neck pickup sounds great on a Strat because it's fucking right there on the 24. You know, it's like if you put 24 frets, your neck pickup sounds like shit. It's like why sacrifice your neck pickup sound for like 3 frets that you're never going to use?
Yeah,
insanity. For me, unless you're a shredder.
For anyone that's not missing what we're saying, it's basically on a 21, 22 fret guitar, your neck pickup would be exactly where the 24th fret is. And that's where you get those rich overtones and it picks up the additional harmonics that you would normally see on the 24th.
I don't know, it just feels like this is some sort of weird AI hybrid. What would Gibson do if they made a Strat? Speaking of which, did anyone see the new Jack White stuff that came out yesterday or the day before? So Jack White's got this collection that's just come out with the Fender, 2 guitars and an amp, or maybe there's 2 amps, but I think there's 1 amp. There's a new telly and Acoustasonic telly, but the amp as well has got 2 speaker cones in it that are different sizes, and you can split the signal on it, so it can be a stereo signal within the same amp. So when you mic it up, you can mic them up separately, and the effects can be assigned to different speaker cones. But I haven't had a chance to look at the guitars properly yet. I just saw a thing about the amp, but this to me feels like a cool take on a Telecaster that looks a bit different and not something I'd expect Fender to do, and I like it.
Sort of reminds me a bit of a Cudacaster with those pickups.
I don't know what the functions are. It's got 3
A lot.
controls there. Yeah, exactly.
Looks a bit like, which pickups would you like? Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
I heard that I'd like all the pickups.
I heard that people were so afraid of Stalin that when he was asking for a particular building to be built, the architects came to him with 2 alternate plans, and he said yes. And no one wanted to say yes to which one. So they went away and built the building half of one design and half of the other. And it's sort of like that when you can throw everything in.
And then they both fell out of it.
Still, I quite like the look of it because it feels quite different.
I don't like the really light maple fretboards personally, but
I like the 3 dots.
You know what? At the end of the day, I actually kind of like it. Because you know what? That's different, man.
Yeah, look, it's got everything on it. It's got a D-tuner.
That's cool. I'm sorry. That's cool. Who else would go, you know what? I'm just going to throw everything at it and call it a good idea. Fender.
I mean, it sort of feels to me like it's made for Jack White and he would play it, and they haven't given anything to the customer. There's like, you get what Jack White wants and that's it. There's no one said to Jack White, that won't sell. We need to tone it back a bit.
That's kind of cool.
I'm assuming there's no color choice either.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about Jack White, really. I just every now and then he seems to be playing with another kind of super band or something like that, and he always seems quite cool. So Jarvis, are there any particular people that your students who have come back to the guitar, having played as a kid and have come back now post-COVID? Are there any particular bands or musicians or guitarists that they particularly want you to teach them about?
I think just like this kind of comes full circle to what we were saying before about guitarists. Like we're still, all the great music from the 60s and 70s is relevant. That's the thing, isn't it? So I mean, what guitar music you're going to teach someone from the last fucking 20 years? There's nothing, is there? So it's like you're still teaching, all the stuff that I learned as a kid is still pretty much relevant. I mean, there is newer stuff to keep a bit more up to date and not be a complete, boomer. But like for the most part, the classic people, even the younger kids still, 20-year-olds are still, the ones who want to learn guitar are into Led Zeppelin and stuff. It's just they might have got into it through Greta Van Fleet rather than rather than starting at the source. But as long as they get there in the end, it's all good, isn't it?
That's what I've noticed. The kids at my school, when they're learning guitar, like they're playing the same rock riffs that I learnt when I was a teenager, 30 years ago. Like they're still learning the same beginning riffs, and it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's cool, man. I'm totally on board. I think it's good. Like they can go off and see what's relevant now, but like there's a reason why the stuff works so well, is because also it plays good, and it's like it sounds good, and actually like you know, their dad listened to it, or even their granddad probably fucking listened to it. Do you know what I mean? Like it's part of culture and stuff. So I don't think it's, you know, there is some more modern stuff that comes up, but for the most part, people is, you know, it's like most people kind of want to learn, you know, classic rock and stuff for generally, you know, if that's kind of like your, you know, 90%, you got your outliers, but, you know, for the most part.
I wonder if the fact that people are still drawn to that music is connected to, it must be connected to why they're drawn to those sort of guitars. The guitars that those people played, you want to play that because that's what they were playing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's all, you know, it's just like a nice little ecosystem of, like you say, like people want to listen to that old music, so they want to play it on the old style equipment. It's like, and kids, you know, can't afford a fucking 60s Jazzmaster, so they're gonna have to go and get a relic, you know. And to be kids, probably, you know, like maybe they get something a bit cooler or a modern take, you know. But like the retro thing's still big, isn't it?
Mm.
And then it's like retro 90s, you know, and all this kind of stuff. So it's like,
I mean,
you know,
one of the reasons I asked that question was because obviously you're teaching, and so I want to know what people are wanting to learn.
Yeah.
Because when I watch things like Glastonbury on telly or another rock festival, a lot of the bands I just don't know who they are. But they're playing guitars. It's not all sort of dance, pop, electro. Some of it is guitar based. So I mean, when I went off to uni, I suddenly fell out of what was popular with the teenagers, and then I started teaching teenagers, and they all liked stuff I'd never heard of. So now I'm even more removed from that. But it's interesting that those that are playing guitars aren't necessarily asking you, "Can you teach me the new hip song by whoever?"
No, it's rare. Okay, get the odd pupil. And I'll be like, "What are you into?" And they'll just start reading off like, it just sounds like they're talking Dutch. And I'm just like, yeah. I'm just like, fuck. I'm that old person who literally, I don't know what the fuck you're saying to me right now. And you'll go and check it out, and it's just like same old. It's just some version of something else you've heard 20 years ago with a bit of reverb on or something. So it's, you know, for the most part, it's just the same. It'll be something lo-fi generally if I've not heard of it, right? It'll be like, go and listen to it. It'll be something swamped in reverb. I'll be like, oh, that's kind of cool. I think general guitar trends, you know, you can kind of just keep abreast of see what Fender are doing. Oh, it's offsets, isn't it? I mean, that's been the last 5 years, right? 10 years, offsets, man. I mean, I've got a Jazzmaster, you know what I mean? I was ahead of the bell curve there like 20 years ago or something. But well, I was just in the same predicament when in the early 2000s. I got some money because I was 18, and I was like, I want to buy something. I want to buy a vintage guitar. It's like, well, you can't buy a Fender Strat, you know. I think it was 1,200 quid, and back then you could get I got a 66 Jazzmaster. I'll show you it. But you know, it's like because you couldn't buy a Strats. It's the same thing now, isn't it? It's just like, well, you can't afford Strats and tellies, so the people just get offsets, don't they? I really need to sort this out. This has got a cool story, actually. But
do you want to tell us?
Yeah, I've got basically I bought it from Andy's. You probably know Andy's, do you? In Denmark Street.
Yeah.
As a 66, it was 66, and then one day I was on. I was watching. Is it 5 Watt World? Is the YouTube channel? There's a YouTube channel that does like deep dives on models, and I was like, it's late. I was just watching it one night, and they're talking about Jazzmasters, and they're going on about the pick guards, and they're talking about, you know, oh, it's got a, you know, basically they didn't do the black pick guard until like the 70s, and I'm like looking at it going, okay, well that pick guard's not from 1966, and then basically I'm looking at it, and the fucking, I don't know if you can see the bridge, it says patent pending on the bridge, right? And so I go online and like, that means pre-patent, and that didn't get granted till like, I can't remember. Basically means it was like earlier than 62 or something. I was like, what the fuck? So at this point, I'm like, really, what's going on? This is a bit weird. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to take it apart. I've never taken it apart. I got a guy to strip it. When I first got it, it was brown. It was like translucent brown, and it had some fucking hippie. Some hippie had desecrated the back. So I got it stripped, just back to natural finish. And then when the guy took it off, he verified that the neck had the 66 stamp on. So anyway, I took it apart and I was like, the neck said 66. And then I'm like poking around underneath it. And there's like a little brass thing underneath, like where the shielding is. I look underneath it and it's fucking candy apple red.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, what? So I'm like, at this point, I'm like, oh my God, this isn't, this is a, like, I assumed it was like a Japanese, like an 80s Japanese one or something is what I was thinking. So anyway, I took it apart. Do you know Mike Adams, Pusheen?
Yes, yeah.
So basically, everyone's like, you need to speak to him. He's like the jazz master expert. So I basically get him on a call, and we go through it and look at it, and like it's the body's from, we think, 59 or 60. So it's got the pots are dated to like 59 or 60. And all this got some little, like, there's some little holes where they held the body up for, like, little dowel holes where they held it for machining or spraying. So he thinks that the body is from probably 59 or 60 and the and the pots. And then at some point it got a 66 neck on it. And, and how it got past Andy's as a 66, because it had a patent, like, right there on big letters that says patent pending, which would, if you knew about, I mean, I didn't know at the time, but if you knew about offsets, right, that's like it's in big letters that says like this is from 62 or pre-63 or something, right? Basically means it's a pre-CBS bridge. So yeah, you
got it via mistake, basically. Then
God knows what it is. Yeah, it's a mongrel, but yeah, by mistake. So God knows what the crack is with it. But yeah, back in that was early 2000s. So that was $1,200, I think I paid for that, which is affordable, right? I don't know how much that would cost now, but you're looking at, it's going to be a chunk for a 60s Fender, isn't it?
I'm not sure if I'm right on this, but I think that Jags used to be quite cheap when they first came out, and Kurt Cobain basically raised the price. I guess actually Jack White did the same, buying cheap guitars to use in your bands, and their value started going up.
Yeah, all those Harmony guitars and Tiesco and stuff, they're all like quite cool and hip and retro now. I imagine the second-hand market on those has shot through the roof, right?
Yeah, I would imagine. I don't know enough about it. Who was it that used to buy? Was that Owen that used to buy second-hand guitars and sell them on?
I did.
Oh, it was you?
Brad.
Oh, Brad.
Yeah.
Sorry, Brad.
The Tokai and Greco Master.
Of course,
yeah. Just a lot of stuff from Japan, Get over, and eventually the cat got out of the bag on those, and the price just got out of control. Some of them will go for more than the Gibsons. So
I really want to get a JV Squire before they go crazy.
Yeah,
they've already gone crazy, but like they're going to go bonkers.
Owen's just mentioned that Kurt Cobain had that Jag Stang, which was the Jag and Mustang put together. And I was reading about that recently, and apparently he went to Fender and he just took a photo of his Jag and a photo of his Mustang, which were Polaroid photos, cut them in half and taped them together and gave that to them. And they kind of worked off of that to sort of put the idea together using templates that they had on hand. That's how you design a guitar.
The original Mustangs were designed as cheap guitars, weren't they? Were they for student guitars? I think, wasn't that the idea, that they're shorter scale for students, and that was the whole market?
Yeah.
And then, you get a few guitarists making them famous, and then all of a sudden, everyone wants the old Mustangs at a much higher price.
Again, it's just that kind of entry point, isn't it, for vintage gear, right? It's just like as it goes up and up and up, it's like then the crapper that people want, like 70s Strats, man. Like when I bought that, people were like, you couldn't give those 70s Strats were like £700 when I bought that. No one wanted a 3-bolt Strat. People would literally go, there. Do you know what I mean? Got a 3-bolt Strat with a fucking translucent and a black guard. It'd be like, still to me, I get PTSD when I see them. It's like, have you picked those things up? Do you know what I mean? Like lead weights, those things. They're awful. I don't know why people are into those things, but whatever,
Oh, I'm really sorry. I've just got to answer the door. I think it's FedEx collecting a guitar and sending to America.
Hey, Bobby, I see up there you've got the slingshot. How does that compare to your Stang?
The what? Sorry.
Is that the Reverend Slingshot you've got up on the wall?
Oh, it's it's not a slingshot. Which model is it? It's a what? I forget the model it is. That is gifted, that guitar. For full disclosure. What is it? It's not a slingshot though, is it? The slingshot's the other one. Sorry.
They must look very similar then.
It's a Jetstream is the one it is. So it's got
okay.
Yeah, it's a Jetstream, so it's slightly offset, right? They're great guitars, man. They're really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it sounds really, really nice. I think it's quite classic. It's like Fender style, isn't it? Have you played a Reverend before?
No, I'm doing a build for a client at the moment, and it's based off a Reverend Slingshot. So, yeah, it's just I was like, oh, maybe that was one of them. But he's doing like a Jazzmaster pickup and a P90. So.
I would say they're basically just very much like an F style guitar, right? 25.5 scale inch, like all flat, and it plays like a nice Fender basically. Neck finish is nice and smooth. Pickups are nice. Yeah, generally, it's got the Wilkinson trem, which is kind of not really my bag. I kind of got it, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool." Used it for a few days, and I was like, "Do you know what? I'm just not into trems, man." Do you know what I mean? It's like I'm a stocktail guy, to be honest. But I like the finishes though. I think that's one thing coming from a sort of for you guys as luthiers and looking for like. Comments from players, right, and people who like play the things more and buy them. Well, I don't buy them so much, but it's like I think talking about frets is a big thing. Like we were talking about before, like neck feel is everything for me. It's like that neck's got to feel good. Like, and half the time when I go to the shows, it's like everyone's like, "Do you want to plug in?" It's like, "No, I just want to pick up your guitar and I just want to like do a couple little bends and just feel the neck." And it's like, but it feels really nice, and I'll play it. But I just want to have a quick feel. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's all I really need to get a sort of like an initial judgment on it. So I think fretwork is one thing. Any aspiring luthiers listening to the show and want to like, if there's anything that you should really be on point with, like fretwork is everything. Spend more time on your fretwork. It's massive. And cool finishes. Like, because at the end of the day, like the thing that's going to attract people to your guitar, like, I mean, Daniel, you're a good example of that, right? Yours are crazy. But like, cool finishes. I think that's why Reverend do really good as well, just because like their finishes look good. So it's just like, I'd more inclined to buy something that's got a fun finish than just the same old boring stuff, But I think fretwork's a big one, and also like if you're at trade shows, like be nice and smile to people and look like you want to be there, because a lot of the time, guys who go to exhibit at these trade shows just don't look like they want to be there, and that doesn't help when you're trying to sell your guitars.
Yeah, shows are interesting in that way.
I've been on the other end. My wife does like wallpapers and stuff, so I've been on the other end of trade shows as an exhibitor, and I get it. But
I really enjoy them because I enjoy talking to people, but I don't go to very many of them. But some people I know go to every show, and in one show, by the end of the day, he probably said the same thing 50 times and had the same questions asked. And it can wear you down a bit if you're not especially if you're doing it as regularly as some of them are, I think. But I'm not going to complain if someone's asking a question about an instrument I've made.
Well, that's the thing. If someone's talking to you about, like, they're genuinely interested, it's like they're talking to you about your guitars. It's like you should be very happy about that. And not like just on the Brighton one, there's a couple of guys who just like look fucking miserable as sin. It's like it's a 6-hour show. Do you know what I mean? It's like that's it. It's nothing. Like don't sit there on your phone.
Yeah, there's a lot of sitting on your phone. I mean,
what are you doing, man? You've like paid to be at like exhibit. You should be fucking smiling and talking. Check out my guitars, not sitting there just like on your phone. It's like fucking wow. Okay, fair enough. There's a couple of people I didn't speak to, at that show because they were just on their phone. I was like, okay.
Oh, yeah. I find some people are quite introverted and shy and don't like those situations, but I've seen people like that who have someone else with them to help, and that makes a massive difference.
Yeah.
you know, there are ways around it if you don't like the socialness of it all. But
it's like the social media thing, isn't it?
Why are you at a show if you don't want to?
Well, this is it. It's like, why are you there? You know, it's like, and if you don't like people, it's like, these are guitar people. You know, they're your people. You know, it's like they're other weirdos who don't want to be out. Like, I'll fucking pull up my big boy pants on and go to a fucking guitar show. Do you know, it's like, just talk to these guys. You know, they might buy a guitar off you.
I mean, I'm tempted to not exhibit at a few shows and just go as a visitor because I enjoy talking to guitar people a lot, and talking to guitar makers. When you're exhibiting, you don't get as much chance to talk to everyone. That's also an exhibitor, not a visitor. So
it's tough,
that is great. I've enjoyed that element as a lot, but often I only talk to the people on the few tables around me for a long period. Often get to run around and say hi to some people that I've spoken to on Instagram, but never a proper chat. Shows are. So what's interesting, Jarvis, is we've talked about this before, that there's so many shows in the UK, and because the UK is small compared to, say, America, people go around to all of them. But a lot of the other countries of people we have on here, like in Australia and America, that shows are few and far between and very expensive for exhibitors to exhibit at.
Even the Melbourne Guitar Show, which I've mentioned before, I don't think they ran it this year. So even then, they're like, you know, every 2 years we're going to do a show. Or so yeah, it gets a bit tricky from that point of view here.
Yeah, so they didn't run it this year. They've just released the info pack for next year. Okay. I've got it. I can flick it over to you if you like. But it had the pricing in there for the stalls, and it was just like, oh no. You've
got to be a permanent member of it's like AMC or whatever it is, community of the people that run that show as well, and the fees for that are like astronomical.
Interesting.
Well, you know what it basically is, Brad, is it's that those guys that are members are basically resellers, and the AMC is actually one of the major distribution companies of a lot of brands here in Australia.
Yeah.
So it's the whole thing. It's just like, do I want to go? Yeah, I'd love to go. Would I love to, have a stall? Yeah, sure. But it's a massive circle jerk for them. And
that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, the little guys, who like the boutique builders like yourselves, you can't get in there. You got to sell. No. You got to sell 20 guitars to be able to make and make it worth your while.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it's on application as well. I don't think just because you've paid doesn't just get you in there. It's you've got to apply and they've got to let you in. So.
Well, yeah, they filter you out really well. So
interesting. It's so different. Yeah, the ones here are quite affordable to exhibit at, and what I've liked is particularly the Brighton one, for example. And the last London one I did, they had quite a good mix of boutique builders and sort of shops selling their wares. I like.
There's a few sort of smaller things. A few music festivals often have like instrument makers, which is kind of something that would be more doable. But I know one regular festival that I go to has instrument makers, but the times I've thought about doing it, then I'd actually miss out on all the fun festival stuff, during the day, and that's what I essentially go down for. It's my kind of weekend away. So
pull together though. If you can get a group of you, I know like Australia, you're quite spread out as a country, but if you're all in the similar vicinity, you can just get a handful of you just to say, right, let's put. It doesn't like you only need a room, right?
The three of us are actually quite close to each other compared to all the other Aussies that are involved in this direct community. So there's certainly options there. Yeah,
I'll get a few if you can find some people like myself who are hate the word content creators, but people who put stuff on Instagram, who've got an audience, get some people like that there and get some builders, and it's just get something going. That's another thing that I think, advice for you guys, like luthiers trying to get stuff out there and be seen. It's like send your guitar, build demo guitars and send them to people to play on socials and stuff. Just hardly anyone comes to me and says like take stuff, you know, and it's just like anyone could send me a guitar and I'll play it and put it on my channel, you know, and I'm not going to charge you guys, you know, like
I'll be in touch.
Yeah, absolutely. Send me stuff. I know you guys in Australia, it's not as practical for you, but like I've reached out to loads of people after the guitar show, and I was like, "Hey, man, love your stuff." It's like, send me a guitar, I'll play it. It's like, I'm not asking for money. It's like, just send me stuff. I've got an audience, right? It's like, it's good for me. I want interesting guitars to play. Like, you get people see your stuff. I'm not going to break it. I'll send it on to someone else. It's all good, right? And I just think, like, definitely feel like luthiers in general should just get stuff, you know, get demo guitars out there more, and you know, send stuff out to people. I know it's tough, but like that's these days is the easiest way to get eyeballs on things, isn't it? Because even your guitar magazines like a fucked. Who's buying? I don't know what the circulations are on those things, but it can't be big, right?
No. I've got to say though, when I first started making guitars, I got a few articles in online guitar magazines, Guitar World, Premier Guitar, and then from that, definitely made sales and definitely had on my YouTube channel demos like thousands and thousands of views.
Great.
But then recently, when I've tried that, I spent ages making a video for a particular guitar, like really showing it off, and got an article in Premier Guitar, Guitar World again online. It had 400 views. The video. It was like weird. I don't really understand the discrepancy there. How that happened.
I think people watching Premier Guitar are probably more into, you know, the typical old school stuff, and your stuff's too wild for them.
Maybe. There was an event, it doesn't run anymore, in the UK, where they had it's similar to 42 Gear Street, if you know that Henning Pauly does, where they hosted, in this case, they hosted boutique guitar builders, not just guitar companies, to come to the festival, and then they had YouTubers there to film content. So you rotate round and film content, and it was quite good. I've got lots of videos from it that people have made that I refer people to when they're looking at my guitars, but it didn't necessarily pay off for me. Again, I think it's because of the sort of things I'm doing. But I met someone, Maybury Guitars. I don't know if you've heard of Maybury Guitars, but one of the things he does is he sends his guitars out to YouTubers, exactly like you're saying, Jarvis, and he sent them to the is it I'm the Blues channel? The Blues channel?
I'm in the Blues,
in the Blues, right.
In the Blues, in Melbourne.
And he said he's just got loads of sales from that. So you got to get the right person and the right type of guitar to match up. So his guitar definitely suited him, the YouTuber whose name I've forgotten, and it just worked out really well.
That's a good idea, Ray, isn't it? For someone to do something like that.
Are you trying to get
that
that
yellow telly. I know, it's me. That yellow telly is being made for Shane from In the Blues.
Oh, it is? Okay, yeah. I can see it's a left-handed. Yeah.
He's a lefty, that's right. So, yeah.
Yeah, so he got in contact. Actually, I think I got in contact. And then he replied 3 months later. That's right. And it was just like, yeah, cool. Let's do this. Let's, you know, he was, you know, really hesitant about 3D printed guitars, as you can imagine. And I sort of said, well, you know, do a shootout, you know, compare it against, you know, a couple of your guitars.
Great idea.
So I kind of shot myself in the foot there, because that's exactly what's happening. That guitar is going to be pitted against a 58 Telly, and then a modern reissued 58 Telly. So we'll see how it goes. But
we're about to find out.
I'm looking forward to that.
Look, at the end of the day, I mean, like, as you guys all know, and Jarvis, you're not aware of this, I don't actually sell my guitars. I build it myself. I sell the files for people to go off and make them the guitar themselves, make it how they want it, colors they want, designs they want, hardware they want. So for me, it's not really, we're not doing a guitar review sort of thing. It's basically, it's an attempt to try and just get people to look at alternative methods of building and things like that. So, like playability and all that, how will the guitar compare? Look, it's probably going to play better than the actual original 58 Telly, because let's be honest, the Tellys from the 50s weren't that great to play on. When it comes to the cool factor, the 50s Tellys have it. But ultimately, just trying to raise some awareness for alternative methods of building.
And of course, hopefully he'll mention that if someone's getting your files, then the hardware for it is their choice. So it doesn't have to be, they can pick the amount they spend on the bridge, for example.
Yeah. Look, I've had people build that one for under $150, just using just cheap Music Lily Temu guitar parts. And then there's another guy out there. He built two of them. One of them he's loaded up with Goode hardware, EMG pickups. People look at him like he's crazy. It's just like, why are you spending all this money on a 3D printed guitar? And it's just like, well, why do you spend the same amount of money on a cheap basswood body blank? Well, that's kind of a good point there.
Yeah. Hey, listen, we're approaching an hour and a half, so I think I try not to overrun too much from that. So just want to thank you again, Jarvis, for coming on. It's brilliant.
Pleasure, man. Thanks. Not always, pleasure to chat guitars.
It felt like a different chat to what we normally have as well, so that was great.
Oh, cool. Thanks
for
having me.
Now I know you're not that far away. And
I'll come. Yeah,
I'll be in touch.
Yeah. You're just down the road. Yeah. Well, let's meet up or whatever. Definitely up for collaborating. 100%.
It's so funny meeting people in real life. I met so you won't know this, but sorry, that sounded weird. It's funny meeting people in real life. What I mean, it's funny meeting people that I've only seen on Instagram in real life.
Yeah, I know, it's weird, isn't it?
But I met up with Garby last week. She was in London. She was on the show a few weeks ago, and she's even funnier in real life. It was brilliant. Anyway, so just so everyone knows, if you're watching this or listening, I put links to everybody that's been on the show, all their Instagrams and YouTubes, and Jarvis's website, where you can see his lessons that he sells and does online. I didn't really ask about that. So you have courses people can download, but you also do like masterclass live streams.
Yeah, I've started a few months ago. Started doing these like masterclasses, and then from a pure intention as well of just doing them live rather than being like, I'm just going to start hawking stuff on my website. And I was like, oh, do you know what? People are still asking me to buy this. I was like, okay, I'll sell that. And I was like, oh, have I started selling courses now? I think I have accidentally. So yeah, I'm the kind of so yeah, there are lessons to buy on my website for £5 each. But feel free to check them out. But all my content goes on Instagram. They're all just chopped up. So all those little snippets that you see, they're just little chunks from the masterclasses, right? So you can see everything unfiltered on Instagram first, for sure.
I really do enjoy your content. And then we've also got, I'll just let you know who's coming up. We've got next week, we've got Paul from Mile House Studios. That should be a fun, potentially sweary one again.
Sorry.
And then after that, we've got Menno. Assuming his internet works out in the Ecuadorian rainforest where he is. I think he was having a bit of difficulty. He wasn't in the chat today, which he normally is. But I guess that's because of the time difference for when we started. But yeah, it should be good talking to him. And I've mentioned before, he's building in the rainforest where the hazards are totally different to what we have. Like our hazards, some of us were talking about the other day using circular saws and things. He has hazards of bats flying into where he's working and doing their stuff all over his equipment. So quite different. That's fun. And just want to say that if you have enjoyed the show, or someone that might want to listen to it, do let them know, especially if you're on the audio, because that's all new to us. So leaving reviews and sharing, etc., is really good. There's links for affiliate links, which help bring a bit of money in for us, because although we're doing it for fun, we're enjoying doing it. I still got the costs of all the streaming service and the hosting for the podcast to get with. And on YouTube, we've got the members as well. So I just want to thank all the members that have been with us, which I can't do because I haven't got a list of them. But thank you all from the heart. You mean a lot to me so much that I can't remember all your names. Right. Well, thank you, everyone. I'll just say until next time, happy strumming, everyone.
See you later.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers, guys.
Ciao.
The Guitar Builders Collective is a group of like-minded people from all around the world at different stages of their guitar building journey. You can join us over on our forum to seek advice or share tips on guitar building processes, materials and tools, or just to share your builds. On YouTube, we have a regular podcast of guitar building chat where you can join the live stream or watch back on past episodes. Our Instagram page shares posts of members' builds and links you direct to their accounts. And for those of you on Facebook, we've got a private group that you can join, share and chat along with. The Guitar Builders Collective is a welcome and open space for all, so do pop by and say hi. Brilliant. Well, thanks, Jarvis.
Oh, thanks for having me. Hope I wasn't too opinionated.
No. It's brilliant.
I think we're still live, Daniel.
Yes, yeah.
Sorry, what was that?
I think we're still live.
Still going.
Why did that always happen?
Again.
Right.